This is Cheryl, and we created this podcast as the Adult Leadership Advisory Board, or ALAB. Who we are in terms of ALAB is a group that focuses on issues, challenges, and difficult topics facing our community. We are working hard to develop educational programming, social tools, and fundraising initiatives to inform, include, and support adults with cystinosis, but ultimately anybody in our community, our friends, our families, our neighbors, and anybody that might or might not be affected by cystinosis. We, as the Adult Leadership Advisory Board, are funded and work under the Cystinosis Research Network. For those of you out there who might not necessarily understand or know what cystinosis is characterized by the accumulation of the amino acid, or one of the amino acids, cysteine, within the cells. When the cysteine builds up in the cells, it often forms crystals and will sometimes attack certain organs and tissues, predominantly the kidneys, but also includes the eyes, muscles, thyroid, brain, pancreas, and testes. Previously, it was known that an individual born with cystinosis would not live past 10. It's pretty grim, and I'm sure many families out there were quite devastated when they had a newborn who was diagnosed with this disease, cystinosis. However, today we have members in our community living well past 50 years old.
This podcast will cover cystinosis from a teen and young adult perspective, issues such as mental health and social issues, adjusting to independent living, and transitioning from pediatric to adult care. Brianna, would you want to ask the first question?
Yes. First question is, does cystinosis affect your social life as a young adult, and how?
I'll go first. So yeah, I think it definitely does. It's hard because sometimes I don't feel good and like I'm not able to do things like people that don't have cystinosis don't understand. If I do something for like 3 days straight, I'm gonna need a day of rest. Like I'm just gonna have a day of rest. And people think like people that don't have cystinosis, sometimes they just don't understand that. Like they're just like why are you sick? And I'm like, sort of, like that's kind of what it feels like when I like overdo it. So yeah, I feel like it does definitely in that way.
I'll piggyback off what you said. I'm a very go person. I don't like to stop until I like have to stop, which is I'm working on that. But recently I had to stop, and it kind of put it in perspective. I need to take breaks and make time for those breaks instead of having to wait until my body that has this stenosis makes me stop.
Yeah, I'm the same way as Nacy. I like to do until I'm like burnt out. So I'm definitely trying to like take a minute to slow down. But yeah, sometimes it's hard.
And I think sometimes maybe like Lily said, our peers don't really understand. But thankfully, I have found a group of people that are like, you probably should take a break, and that is completely fine if you do. We're not going to feel any type of way. We're not going to hold it against you. And I think everyone really needs those type of people in their life, especially if you have cystinosis or something adjacent.
Definitely.
Just to add to that for a second. So sometimes it's like Gracie said, like I do have people like that, like the people that I've worked with for a very long time, and they are like wonderful. Like if I need a break, they're like, oh, we totally understand, like I get it. And I sub there, and sometimes they'll text me and they'll say, hey, can you sub for me? I understand you worked the past like 2 weeks, so it's okay if like you need a day off, but like I do need a sub. And they're super, super understanding. And I know me and Sam talk about this sometimes, and it's the same as like where she works. Like they're very understanding, but it's like in the back of my head, I'm like, do they really understand, or are they mad at me? Because I'm like overthinking, and I'm like, well, maybe they really just like are mad at me, but they're trying to be nice. And so that's sometimes hard too, because it's like, why can't I just be like, yeah, people have good intentions?
Yeah, that's how my brain was too.
100%. My work is the same way. They're fine with me taking off. I've been sick recently a little bit, and they tell me to put my health above work, and that they'll be glad to have me back anytime. But it takes as long as I need to heal. But I do feel like oh, you know, do they really not, care that I'm taking breaks and stuff like that, or are they just saying that?
Are you ready for the next question?
Yeah, I think so.
Have you ever had someone belittle you, tell you that you're not actually sick because your disability is isn't visible?
Yeah, I remember in my middle or like elementary too, people would be like, "Oh, you don't look sick, so you're not actually sick." But sometimes that's like not the case.
Yeah, to go along with that, Sam, I was actually hoping you would answer that question because I remember when you were in like middle school or whatever, and there was this girl, and I don't know where Sam found these people, but it was crazy because I can't remember what she said to you, but yeah, it was something like, you don't look sick. Like, I think you're just faking it. I was like, who would fake that? Like, I guess people would. And I'm like, who would do that? Like, it was a crazy thing to say to someone. Um, and so, yeah, when that question was asked, I was like, oh, Sam can answer this. So I'm glad you did.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's something growing up that a lot of people with cystinosis face. We don't really look sick until, we're throwing up because of our medicine or we're in the hospital or something like that. And so that's just something we have to kind of deal with. And I don't think it gets much easier as we get older, honestly, but I think we learn how to deal with it better.
Yeah, in school it was really bad for me, like with teachers, because in school I was such a like I talked all the time. I still do, but in school it's not acceptable. Like you can't just talk all the time. And I was always talking, and so it seemed very normal. So when my mom would tell the teachers, like, like she's not here because of this, like they didn't believe her. They were like, she looks fine. So like I don't see. She would have to bring in like all the pills I take and like forms and stuff to be like, look, I'm serious. Like she really is sick, and like so in school, it didn't really bother me, but then I got a job over the summer, and there was this lady that worked there, the director of the preschool, and she was really mean. But I had to ask her to have less time because it was a full-time job and I couldn't do it. And I tried to, but then I just like overworked myself and got really sick. So I asked her if I could do part-time. And I knew she didn't like it, but I found out later from my friend that she had called me lazy and said that I was really lazy. And I was like, that really hurts me because I tried so hard at that job. And because she didn't see what was going on behind the scenes, she just thought I was lazy. And that's so annoying.
I have been in that exact same scenario, Lily. That is one of the worst feelings you can get when someone calls you lazy and you're like, I'm trying to do my best.
Yeah, it really sucked. It really hurt me when she told me that she said that because I already knew she felt that way, but like hearing that she actually said it behind my back, I was like,
Okay, the third question is, do you find yourself telling more or fewer people that you have cystinosis as you get older?
I'll take this one. I feel like when we were younger, or well, me personally, I didn't really tell as many people, but my mom and my grandma did. And now I tell people, but like my close circle of friends know. If someone has to know, then I'll tell them. But other than that, I feel like it's not really necessary.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I like when I was younger, my mom would tell like not I don't know, she didn't like go around telling people, like only the people that needed to know, like my teacher and stuff. And I only really tell people like the only people at work who knows are like my managers, know my coworker knows. I feel like it's not really their business, you know?
yeah, I'm the same way. My mom and my grandma used to tell everybody, like people that didn't need to know. And I felt like it like really they had like too much sympathy for me. I'm not big on sympathy. I didn't like it like at all. I was like, no. But now I feel like I'm very open about it. Like to anybody, I'll like let them know like right away. But I like to say it matter of factly rather than like telling them all the details and everything. Like I'm just like matter of fact, like yeah, I have a kidney disease, and my stamina is not the same as everybody else's. So like I'll tell them that if it comes up in conversation. I'm not just gonna like randomly say it. But I feel like I'm pretty open about saying it now. But when I was a kid, I didn't want anybody to know like at all.
Are there some hobbies or activities that you love to do that you may have thought cystinosis would stop you from doing?
I'll go. So when I was younger, like middle school, I was a cheerleader, and everybody said, "Oh, you can't do that," because like, I was a fire, so I was like the one in like PO doing all the time, and everybody was like, "Oh, you can't do that, like your heart, your kidney, blah blah." But I just did it anyway, and it was really fun. I miss it. But now I don't really have any hobbies. I'm just doing the two and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess you could say I'm a semi-professional dancer. I don't know what you would call it, but I definitely thought that cystinosis was going to get in the way of that. And then I started doing it, and I found people that support me and love me just like my family, and it's really nice.
Okay, this next one is for us old fogies with cystinosis. Okay, what cystinosis issues were we having in high school, basically? For Sarah and I, or for me anyway, it was mainly the issue of why we drank so much water, why we take meds. There was a rumor started in high school saying they all thought we were going to die. uh, we also had knee surgery, double knee surgery when we were in high school to repair our rickets that we had growing up. They also didn't know why we smelled because when we were in high school, we were on Cystagon. The pill form of Cystagon had just came out when we were like 13 years old. So we got to take the pill form. No, not 13. It was 18 months, Cystagon. No, I'm talking about the pill form of it. Oh, we would take the liquid form until we had just turned like 12 or 13, and then we got to take the pill form. But unfortunately, one of the side effects of that stuff was we always smelled, and we always got asked why we smelled. And by the way, the liquid form, gross. Be glad you never had to try it.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was like you were swallowing your own puke.
yeah. It echoes through the ages. It was so bad. Yeah, I dealt with similar issues. I had in high school. People would make fun of me for the smell. I tended to have a smaller group of friends. Mostly, it took a lot for me to get close to people. I didn't open up real easily, so yeah, so mostly social issues and issues with the smell of the medicine, and it would affect my it would give me stomach issues.
Yeah, I basically had the same issues. The smell, I got bullied a lot in high school because of it. I had pretty much a small group of close friends, and I had a lot of stomach issues and stuff. I missed a lot of school.
All right, so this next question, anyone can really answer. What do you think is the generational differences between us? Um, what do you youngsters think, huh? Sam or Lily or Grace? Gracie?
I definitely think the medicine has, you know, become better apparently from the liquid forms, and have some remedies to treat the smells and stuff.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot more like information out there now. A lot more like medical growth, like with the medications, with hospitals, with everything.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Like, I think more doctors know what it is, kind of, because they have more people now.
Yeah, I agree. There is a lot more options out there for different side effects, like the smell. Yeah, and I wish I would have had that information when I was in high school. And I mean, college was great. Everybody was fine with our smell, and everybody treated everybody like the complete opposite of a clique, with respect. Um, and then Persisby came along and gave us more options, along with the eye drops and all that fun stuff. So we've definitely made some real leaps compared to the dark ages.
I think one of the biggest differences is that when when we were younger, the internet was just coming out.
Yeah.
Yes, and so people couldn't get information and resources as quickly as they can get today.
Well, yeah. Dial up internet where you had to wait for somebody to get off the phone. The struggle. What about you, Brianna? Do you have anything to add? She's gonna.
Not that I can think of.
Okay. So this question is for the younger generation. What do you do when a member or members of your medical team won't believe or listen to you?
So I like to pull out this is actually my mom's advice. I asked her about this beforehand, so I can't take credit for it. But she said that it's great to like bring like a binder or a folder of something that has like all the information in it, and then pull out the what we call receipts, pull out the documents and like show them and make sure that the dates are there, and proof of like symptoms, when it happened, all of that, so that then it's kind of harder for them to not listen because it's right there in front of them.
I recently had this exact experience. So, I was in the hospital for the first time in like over 10 years, not too long ago, and I was having this problem. This was the biggest problem while I was in the hospital, surprisingly. And I finally had to put on some tears, and I was like, "You have to listen to me." And when they listened, the problem fixed within an hour. And they looked at me, they were like, "We should have listened." I was like, "I know you should have. Next time you will listen." Like, sometimes you have to be that person to kind of put your foot down, or they won't listen.
At what age did you start transitioning?
I'll go. Basically, I don't know how it is in like different places, but in Texas, as soon as I turned 18, like the day of my birthday, they like basically kicked me out of my children's hospital, and it just like me and my mom had to like figure out like where to go, like what hospitals.
So for me, it was me and Sam had literally opposite experiences, and it was good because we both got like different point of views. But where I'm at, it was 21 when they like removed you. So, but the process was wonderful. Like they prepared you for it months in advance, and I got like a tour over at Emory, which is where I was moving to. Um, and then they like asked me if I was ready, if I had any questions. Like it was super great. Now that maybe I had been at this place since I was 8 years old, so like kind of that could have been the difference. But they were really great about it, and they made the transition super easy and super painless, and I was really appreciative of it because that's a hard transition.
Yeah, me and Lily both went to the same hospital. So they had this thing called teen clinic. When you turn 13, if you were ready, they'd let you go in the room by yourself with the doctors and call your parents in at the end and, fill them in. And then when I turned 18, they did the same thing, gave me a tour and they were like, if you're ready, you're ready, you can go. And that's what I did.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
also what's wonderful about it. Sorry, Sam.
You're good. Go ahead.
That's also what's wonderful about it though, is I was not ready at 18. I didn't do the teen clinic at 13. I think I waited till like 16. So when I was 18, they didn't kick me out like Sam's place did. They actually let me stay until I was 21 because I wasn't ready until 21. So I think it's like all up to you there, which is really great. Go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
You're good. No, I definitely think it's different for everybody because I was at the hospital, like the children one, for like 8 years, from like 6th grade to like 11th grade. And maybe there was a teen clinic my mom is in, but I don't remember it, so I don't know. But it was difficult for me.
What is one good thing that you think cystinosis has given you?
Yeah, I'll go first on this one. The people I've met. That's the only thing I could think of when I thought of it, but it was very like up there. Like I am so happy that I met the people I've met, like Sam. Like she's like my best friend. I don't know what I would do without her. So that's the biggest thing I could think of that I'm so thankful for that cystinosis brought me because there's not much else.
Yeah, definitely Lily, Talis, and all the other people. And also maybe like the conferences because you get to go places like basically for free and like travel where that city is and meet other people.
I think I agree. People is really one of the only good things, but it's honestly the best thing, if that makes sense. I've met some people that I never thought I would be friends with, and now we're best friends. And we talk every day, but we live across the country, And I think cystinosis has a way of bringing people together like that because we're really the only ones that get each other.
So you guys have pretty much already answered the last question. It was about telling your friends about cystinosis. Is there anything you guys want to add that you think this generation should know about, or anything you guys want to share? Like any advice you want to give people your age about maybe something they don't know, like to help bad breath or to help in social situations, or you know.
I mean, I was gonna say don't like listen to them, but I know that's really hard for some people. But I mean, do you and don't do what other people say.
That's great, Sam. That was like kind of where I was going. I was gonna say like the people who understand are gonna understand, and the people that don't probably never will. And half the time, the people that don't aren't happy in their own lives. So just let it go because they're probably already not happy. So you just gotta stick with the people who are gonna understand you and do care about you. And yeah, forget those people basically.
I agree with both of those statements 100%. Just be your own self. Whatever makes you happy, do it. Who cares what other people think? And stick up for yourself. I know that's hard. It's really hard for me, but I've had to learn how to do it recently.
All very good advice, you guys. I guess if no one else has anything else left to say, Steve, yeah.
I do got one question. If is there any question that you guys have for us? And it's okay if you don't.
For the older generation.
Yeah.
How would you compare going to a doctor when you were like really, really young and like first diagnosed to now? How treat you and how they treat you personally, but also how they treat the disease itself.
So when Sarah and I would go to doctors, they still do. They always just see us together, unless we ask to be seen separately. When we were younger and our parents were in the room, we would tell them how we were feeling, but they would look to our parents most of the time and listen to what they had to say. And I think mostly because our mom was a med tech, so she knew what all the labs and everything meant. We also had we went to University Hospital in Minnesota. So since we went to University Hospital, it was a teaching hospital. So for our younger years, every year we had a different intern with our original doctor so they could learn about cystinosis. And then there was a few years where we had the same doctor a few years in a row, but most of the time it was a different intern every year. The doctor would be there, but they would get to, examine us and ask questions and stuff like that. Yeah, they would. The one thing I hated about the doctor was the eye exams. When we were little, those big poofs of air. Keep your eyes wide open. Easier said than done when you're warning us that the big flashing light with the poof of air was coming. What about you, Steve?
It's kind of similar. When I was younger, it would be a lot more my parents talking for me. And then I initially I went to University of Michigan, where Dr. Taney was. And so initially, I feel like I had more people knowing what cystinosis was, as compared to later when I transitioned, where I had to do more of the explaining. So now it's just having to be a lot more tell people a lot more things and be more open with what's going on and being willing to educate. And people screw up labs a lot, so being sure to tell people at the labs when making sure certain paperwork is in, because the white cell cysteine is a really rare test, even at University of Michigan, and so nobody knows what it is in the blood lab. So sometimes I have to make sure that's in, and I also have to make sure that the weather in San Diego isn't too hot, because there's been times when it's been shipped over there and it's melted, and I had to do the test over again.
Yeah, that I relate with that. I mean, making sure they have the right tube, they have the pack of ice, do they have the right sheet of paper to fill out, the right code to write down. Yeah.
Have you guys had to deal with that at all, Lily, Sam, and Gracie?
Oh, the WBC cysteine chaos? Absolutely.
Yes, I have. Lots.
I haven't yet.
You're lucky, Sam. um, does anybody have any more questions?
What is one piece of advice you'd give to us as the younger generation?
Oh, that's a good question, Gracie.
I would say as you grow older, you are your best advocate. Like you guys are saying, stand up for yourselves. The doctors don't always know best, even though they think they do. Even though they probably just looked up cystinosis before you came in the office and then act like they're experts. Yeah. We once had a surgeon tell us before our transplant, "Oh, you guys will be cured now that you're getting a transplant, a kidney transplant." We looked at him and I was like, "Doesn't quite work like that." No, I said, "No, we won't be cured. My kidney will be, but my diagnosis won't." I think I might have said, "I wish that's how it worked." But just you're your own advocate, so stand up for you, and you know what's best for your body, no matter what anyone says. It's you got to take care of you. That's the number one thing as you get older. Always take care of you.
Yeah, agreed. I think the only thing I would add to that is if you have a doctor who clearly is not a good doctor for you, it's okay to shop around for another doctor.
It's okay to fire him and go.
Yeah.
Or as Dr. Grimm calls it, what is it? Dating. Like first dates, basically. When you first pick out a doctor. Transitioning, I guess. Transitioning to a new doctor. It's like a first date. Is what Dr. Grimm said. If they're not a good fit, move on.
Sometimes you have to go through some toads.
Yeah. But that's pretty much, all our advice is just be yourselves, be your own advocate. You know you.
Good advice.
I think on that note, we can end this podcast or the recording, and we wanna thank Samantha and Gracie and Lily for being on here and giving us your side of things and helping us understand the younger generation more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.